Well, thank you for coming back for the third video in a 3-video series on 3 things to know before you buy a water softener in Kitchener. Number 1, City of Kitchener has the hardest water in Canada. 40 grains hard versus 4 grains to Toronto and other cities. 2, Region of Waterloo uses chloramine to disinfect the water, not chlorine, so it requires a special filter. 3, and the topic of this video, how do water softeners work and what type of water softeners are out there? So starting off on how softeners work. First of all, you have a tank of resin. And it basically looks like sand, but it's a special polymer, special kind of nylon plastic affair, which has an electrical charge on it. As the water pours through it, it grabs the calcium right out of the water. So as it pours through this sand-looking item, the water at the other end is soft. So it's very kind of neat that way. Once this pile of resin has caught all the calcium it can, and it can't get no more, it needs to stop and it needs to be washed out. So basically what happens is this is where you have that salt tank where you put the bags of salt in, and it's in a water gets in there, so it's a solution. It comes and it washes through the sand looking resin and takes calcium out of the resin and leaves behind sodium from the salt. So it uses the sodium to kick off the calcium. Calcium flushes down the drain. Sodium stays into the softener. Water passes through the resin again and softens the water. Get a little bit of salt there. You get a little bit of sodium in there, but you get soft water. So that's why it tastes a little salty. There's 2 systems that you can look at. The first and most common one that's out there is a single tank of resin. It also has a tank of salt. So yes, that's 2 tanks, but it's 1 tank of resin. It uses a timer, and you guess on when that tank is going to fill up with calcium, and when it does, the electric timer shuts the softener off, switches it over to washing, and it takes the salty brine out of the salt tank, washes it through the resin, washes the calcium down the drain, leaves the sodium behind. Once the system stops, the timer stops the washing cycle, switches it back to softener cycle, and then the water goes through the softener and softens it, and you have soft water. Problem with it is that when it's in the washing cycle, it's not softening water. So if you run any water when the system is in a washing cycle, you'll get hard water into your system. That's why they usually have the timer set to go off about 2 in the morning, trying to pick a time when you're not using your water. The other negative thing about this system is that the whole system is in hard water. And in Kitchener, that's a lot of hard water. That's 40 grains hard. And that hardness wears at those parts terribly badly, and it wears them out a lot quicker than normal. So again, the softener that's in Toronto will last 20 years, that same softener will last 5 in Kitchener. The other thing about it is it has an electric timer on top. It's prone to power outages. The other thing is electricity, salt, and water don't get along, so you can have a short out in the heads. And when the head dies, you have to replace the whole darn thing, so that's usually half the price of the softener. So, not the best choice in my mind. The other system out there that I really like is the twin tank non-electric. This does not run on electricity. It runs on the water going through the softener, which turns gears and stuff like that. So it's a positive action that way. It uses 1 tank at a time, so it has 1 tank of soft water. It uses all of that up. It switches to the other tank of soft water, whereas the one that's all used up will go through the washing cycle, whereas the other tank of soft water will soften water, and you're no loss of water. So when the calcium's full, it switches to the other tank, and there's no loss of water. You can use the water anytime with this system. There's absolutely no interruption in soft water. Other neat thing about it is it uses the soft water to clean the hard water out of the calcium, out of the resin. So as we've known with the soap, you use 3 times more soap to clean in hard water. Same goes here, is that you only need 1/3 the amount of salt and discharge water to clean here, because it is it's using soft water to clean itself. Since this whole system is in soft water all the time, these parts don't wear out like the other system. These guys are not into 40 grains of calcium bath all the time, so they don't wear out. The other neat thing about this system is there's no one part on it that's going to cost a lot of money. So if a little gear in the head goes, you can replace the little gear in the head without having to replace the whole head. So that's kind of nice about this system, is that, you know, you can, it's not an expensive thing to keep going. It lasts a long time, and it is very efficient on salt and water. Waterloo Region has its website, as I mentioned before, on water softeners, and it is watersoftenerfacts.ca. Very good site to take a look at if you haven't had a chance so far. That ends the series of water softener facts, or the 3 things to know before you buy a water softener. I hope it helps you find, I hope it gives you some ammunition to go out when you're buying a water softener to make the right choice. It is a tough decision in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. You have to buy one, as far as I'm concerned. And you want to make sure you pick the right one, because it could be a costly mistake. So thanks again for tuning in to my 3 video series, and we'll catch you soon.